Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tero Pesonen, from TCCA, the Chair of Critical Communications Broadband Group. I'm here with Georg Mayer, the 3GPP Essay Chair. Hello, Georg. Wonderful to have you here. This is after the plenary, Essay Plenary 98, and it is in the end of the year. So today, I think it makes sense to recap what happened in the last plenary, but also maybe recap the whole year and have a bit of a look to the next one. So I'd like to hand over to you, Georg. Floor is yours, and let us learn something valuable and important.
Thank you very much, Tero. Thank you everybody for joining in here, and hello. Thanks for having me. So the 98 plenary was, I think, pretty busy. The progress that we made, I want to look at, I think, basically on the essay side of this and on the overall side. I think you will get good indications from CT and RAN as well. But from my perspective, there were two main decisions, or let's say decisions that we made. The one is the release 18 timeline that we shifted, and the other is the release 19 process, where we made steps ahead on how we want to plan release 19. So for the release 18 timeline, I have something prepared here. Let's see if I can quickly share that. Let's do it like this. I think you should be able to see that now. Yes. So what we actually see here is that the release 18 now in essay and RAN, we had discussions and we decided on how to proceed with it. One of the driving factors is that in SA2 we see that there were a lot of items, 28 items, study items, work items, approved last year in December into release 18. And we see now that the deadline for release 18 would have been March 2023 for SA2 for the functional freeze that is very close now. And we see that it would be beneficial practically for everybody to extend that deadline. So based on that, we agreed to shift the SA2 freeze by 3 months. That means that the functional freeze of SA2, or the stage 2 for release 18 in SA, will be by June 2023. Based on that, obviously the CT then also shifts by 3 months. So instead of freezing in December 2023, we now decided to have the stage 3 freeze in CT in March 2024. And with that then goes hand in hand that 3 months later, the coding, the open API will also be frozen in June then. June 2024. In RAN, the whole situation looks a bit different, and they had similar discussions. So we in the end had a joint session, and we agreed that RAN practically will focus on a maintenance period during that time. So they didn't really formally approve a shift of the release, but they will have a maintenance time that you see here on the slides. And what they did nevertheless was that the ASN1 sort of coding freeze will also be in June 2024. So on that line, we are in line. I admit that it is not ideal that we have different, as we say, timelines now for RAN and SA, but I think it was a very pragmatic decision that we took, and it's really based on the reality we are facing currently in the different working groups. It's something that we should avoid in the future, and I also have to say something that we need to avoid not only when we go towards the end or the middle of a release, but already when we do the planning. And from that perspective, my My feeling is okay with this, but we need to make sure that this doesn't become a habit. So I hope that for next release, we will not have such discussions because we do a good planning right away. I think that was the slide I wanted to share. Let's see if I can unshare. Yes. Not sure what you're seeing now. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, so I think that was sort of the main decision timeline-wise. So you see, we will have 3 more months for the release 18 completion, and I think this is a good thing, and it also will give us a good start for release 19. So we will not have to overlap too much the 2 releases, and we can really focus then from SA2 side, for example, in June already next year. Can kick off the release 19 work and then start working there. That was the one part of the decisions we took. The other part, that what I would consider the main parts that were decided in the SA plenary, was how to approach this release 19 work in the future. So when I think those people who are listening in, who are aware of what happened in earlier releases, so like at least for the last 2 releases, 17 and 18, we practically had always a half a year preparation phase where we only discussed the study and work items and prepared them in SA2, and only then we really started the technical work. And that worked well, but we also see, as I just said, we see that this delays the work to a certain extent and might not be ideal. So there was a lot of discussion over the last 6-9 months in SA on how to possibly improve on that and make our approach on release planning a bit more concise. And I think we came to initial conclusions, let's say. I think these discussions will continue into March and most likely also June next year. But we have said now that we want to start with release 19 with a workshop at the June plenary in 2023, so next year. And then we will try to get a first package already approved 3 months later. So we will not have the whole package approved. That's not possible because we want to be in line with RAN, which takes this decision in December 2023. But the first step for stage 2 study and work items, we will try at least to do already in September next year, and that would allow at least for certain items that technical work can start already 1 quarter earlier, and that would be actually really a great achievement. So I'm hopeful this can be done, and let's see where we are coming to. Besides that, I have to say the work in SA and I guess also in the other TSGs progressed as expected. So we're in the middle of release 18. Items are worked on, the study items are progressed. I think in all the working groups, SA1 obviously is working already on release 19, and also there we see good progress. So there's nothing really unexpected as long as we take this 3-month shift now into account, and I'm positive that this will continue on and that release 18 will complete as we plan it now next year.
All right, thank you, Georg. So basically, we are the boat is moving. Takes a little extra time to arrive to the harbor for release 18. 3 months. I think considering that we have been having the COVID times and other times here, it's online meetings and so on. I think it's a very good achievement, and also remembering that there's a whole lot of content agreed in the first place for release 18, and then there's this continuously, I would say, increasing load of maintenance as there is more and more features to be kept in line. So I think that's fine. Then I suppose what we can take it for our community in critical communication is for release 19 that we should continue quite a lot of discussions with other verticals during the first half in order to have a bunch of ideas and thoughts ready for the workshop in June timeframe, and also try to, as far as I understand, then in order for the first package to be approved, those would probably mainly be features which are RAN independent.
That is a correct understanding that the impact on RAN on this first step would be minimal, or would be features that have no RAN impact at all, which we have many, at least in the recent releases. So I don't see a problem to have those, and it most likely will also not be all RAN independent features there, but a subset or a set of them that has developed to a stage where we can say, okay, let's go forward with that. Yes.
Yeah, and maybe also then obviously features which have wide support of the membership, because I feel that how do you see it? I would immediately think that some members will fear that the first package will be so big that it doesn't leave any room for the second package, which is to be agreed towards the end of the year. So what is your guidance for those who are feeling quite worried at the moment?
So this process is in the shaping, but my understanding is there are clearly a number of items where we know that they will be coming, and we will work on them anyhow. Be it sensing, ambient IoT. These are issues where everybody, I think, in the whole community knows, okay, these are things that we will tackle in the release 19, at least to a certain degree. So I don't see a problem why we shouldn't give ourselves the benefit of an early start on at least some of these issues. Definitely, we need a very solid planning before that, where we say, okay, how much do we actually keep as a buffer? How many work items at all do we allow ourselves to be approved in the different working groups? We made related decisions now that the working groups need to provide the plenary with a solid base, solid data to say this is sort of the maximum or the achievable amount of time and load that we can predict for this release, and please don't overload us. So I think we need to do we need to look into that, and we need to do our best to make really a solid planning. I also think that people during the December discussion now, so in this plenary, people got a bit aware that we put too much, just to be honest, we put too much into the release 18. I still don't see that there was much alternative left than doing that. But this brings us to the point that you said before. We have now such a broad ecosystem that we try to satisfy with the technology that we are developing. And there's so many diverse ideas and requirements on board that it's really challenging to find the commonalities, and also to not like practically overemphasize one industry over the other. And that is especially there from, I think, the vertical industries, not because they're asking for too much, but because their ideas are their requirements are very diverse. So the earlier we can come to an alignment here, or to sort of some common approach on what they see as priority features and what could maybe be handled in later time, that would be extremely beneficial. So I fully agree with what you said, Tero. If the verticals want to have certain items prioritized in the discussions for release 19, then the time to come up with such ideas would really be during the next half year. And there needs to be activity outside 3GPP where these industries sit together and have an open chat or open communication on how to approach this. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, so that's something we need to look into in very open eyes. One example I can imagine, for instance, in broadcaster side in event handling, wireless microphones and so on, they tend to deliver voice, which is very important in critical communication, and their requirements for latency is much more stringent than what we have. So if they get what they want, we got something more. So,
yeah.
So that is, as an example that comes to my mind, something that where we could try to see if we can find common ground, probably in many other places as well. Then thinking already jumping to release 20. To release 20, obviously, once 19 is being agreed in the workshops and then later on in the plenary end of year, SA1 is to start working already with the next round. So when is that time? So if we wanted to bring something absolutely novel for discussion, when should we start showing up in SA1 meetings?
So the timeline that we now set is that 100% completion of SA1 work should be around, I think, December next year for release 19. Obviously, the work will start a bit earlier on release 20. So I think the discussions will slowly start starting from June on. That is my feeling. And I also know that SA1 is always a good group to bring initial ideas first and then to maybe shape them on the way. So you maybe don't need to have a complete set of ideas or requirements already at that time. But if you have some initial requirements, the earlier you communicate them from June on to SA1 is for sure beneficial and will give you, well, I cannot say will give you a guarantee that your items will be in, but they will at least be discussed and handled. And so there can be an early understanding what part of it will make it into the release. Yes.
Yeah. What I'm recognizing is that probably in the critical communication community, some of these networks are in that much in use, starting in first half next year, that we might have gathered such experience around the sometime second half that we would be able to say something and recognize, hey, that is something we would like to do and what is missing, which is maybe beyond regular maintenance. Most of the things I would expect would fall in the maintenance area, saying that, look, here there is this conflict situation. So if it was done a little bit extra, then it would be so much better and so on. I trust that SA6 and others can handle those almost as CRs. But if it is something substantial, then obviously introducing it in SA1 would be at least very appropriate, if nothing else.
Absolutely. And on this, I just want to say I'm really happy to see that there is a real rollout now, and we get feedback from real deployed networks. That's something I think parts of 3GPP were not so used to, that it took quite a while to get products on these new markets out. And that's no criticism at all. This is, as I said, these are new markets and these are new areas we were exploring. And it's absolutely clear that you need to have a certain set of functionality before any rollout can happen. But this is also something that I think makes many people very hopeful now that we see there is reality in the game now, and we get actually feedback from real rollouts. So that will help us also, and I think the whole vertical community, to get even better credibility and even taken more serious with their requests for new features or for maintenance of features. Yes.
Absolutely. What we are recognizing in as testing is taking place in various parts of the world, people are finding things, and now our first job is to evaluate that, is this now a competency issue on the user layer? Is it maybe a parameterization issue in the system and how it's being set up and run? Is it maybe in the implementation, or is it actually somewhere which impacts the standard that we then in the end need to bring back to 3GPP? In this sense there was recently this MCX7 ETSI plug tests where I was very happy that 4% of findings were found. ETSI wants to speak about 96% success, but I find the success is the 4%, because now those things do not need to be found on the field anymore, but they can be immediately brought back as feedback to standardization and say that, look, these are the areas where different parties read the specification somewhat different, or there was some other confusion or a conflict, so that it can be fixed right now before we have X many thousand base stations and hundreds of thousands of devices there which need to have an upgrade.
Absolutely, I think this is great, and I mean that it's only 4% is a very good message. But yes, I agree with you. The 4% is an achievement, and it's great you feed them back.
Yeah, I would be worried if they didn't find anything. But if you look now a little bit back, I mean your next plenary meeting will be your last as a 3GPP SA chair in Rotterdam. Luckily, it will be a face-to-face meeting, so it's not only online meetings for you. And so if you kind of recap a little bit back and into the future, how do you see how world has evolved and what is happening and what is important and what is not?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, it were 4 years now that in March I will have the honor to chair 3GPP SA, and I mean the main headline for this time, at least from I think from all the officials that we have in 3GPP, and I guess for all standards bodies that are international on the world, was the pandemic situation that restricted us so much to have face-to-face meetings. I honestly, looking back at that, have very mixed feelings. It's unfortunate because obviously there were some things, or there are still some things in 3GPP that would need some more attention, but the situation we were thrown into didn't really allow to take care of that. Most of the energy on procedural and administrative decisions were taken up by how to organize meetings, how to run the e-meetings, how and when to go back to face-to-face and so on, which was all very necessary discussions. And that's the good part of looking back. I think as a community, we did amazing work. We did really excellent work. We managed to bring out 2 releases, practically handled them completely during this time. And I would say they are, what we get out is stable and good, solid work. And we see, of course, also the downsides of e-meetings. And it's good we're going back now to face-to-face. Looking into the future, I'm confident that 3GPP, the delegates, will elect good leadership So I'm not afraid of whatever might be coming up. I think the challenges, as we know now, are very hard to foresee, but I'm really confident that people that are working in 3GPP are aware of the necessities for leadership. So I'm looking very positive in the future for that. I also think we will have the chance to go back more and more to face-to-face meetings. And this is great. We see that they give us an enormous advantage in agreeing in offline discussions on things that are not so easily agreed, for example, on emails. So that is good. My feeling is also we will not return to 100% face-to-face. I think the e-meetings also in themselves have a benefit and allow us to get rid of some of the more administrative or editorial issues quite easily and in an uncomplicated way. So that is good. That is also good, of course, for our emission footprint and so on. So lowering a bit the number of flights for delegates and also lowering the travel requirements is good. One thing I see a bit with worry in general is, of course, the political situation that more and more influences us. Unfortunately, we don't see it too much yet. I hope it stays like this. I don't want to criticize anything that's going on, but I just want to say that 3GPP really is that community that it is and could achieve, I dare to say, the great things that we did so far only because we are global and because the standards that we are defining are used on a global scale. Wherever you leave an airplane or a train, wherever on this world you switch on your phone, it will work because the standards that we defined are rolled out and working. And this is something we need to achieve not only for the smartphones now, but for whole industries. I think we are very well on the way, but I really hope that we can keep working in this environment as we did so far and so successfully.
Yeah, that's certainly something I share with you. Global standardization should be kind of a independent diplomacy area to work on joint shoulder to shoulder on common technologies and so on. Then it's another thing, another layer where those are sold and delivered and by whom and so on. But I think that the standardization work should be a sanctuary in that sense to bring the best minds in the area to address those global issues. Since I don't think anyone really wants to go back into fragmented technologies which are inferior to the capabilities we could actually have, and having all those extra problems then with the products also in the marketplace. So definitely that's something I personally would want to see and hope that others will understand this as well. With this, I'd like to thank you very much for this brief interview here. Wish you, since we are recording this now pre-Christmas, so wish you Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, good preparation for the Rotterdam meeting, and all the best also afterwards. Thank you very much, Georg.
Thank you, Tero. Thank you, everybody. Also from my side, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a good start into 2023. And I really look forward to see you and everybody who is going there in Rotterdam. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.